Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sports Time HQ. I am your host, Fernando, and you're listening to Sports Time HQ, of course. And it's time for Waiver Wire ads of the week. And Keith, how are you doing? It's my co-host. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good week in fantasy. My Hawks won. Your Patriots were fairly beaten by a Chicago Bears team last night, so I don't think you're too happy today, but I'm happy.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is the quarterback situation. What's going on with Zappy or Mac Jones? I mean, who's going to be the starter? I don't
I
know.
mean, it was the right call to put Zappi in. Whatever Bill Belichick says that that was the whole plan. But Mac
Yeah.
Jones didn't look good when he came in. He even said today that he didn't do enough. He wasn't playing well enough. I mean, Zappi had the team had an instant reaction to Zappi. Zappi looked better, and then the second half, he kind of all fell apart. I mean, going forward, I think it's Zappi. I don't know whether it's the play calling with Mac Jones. It's so conservative and stuff like that. And then when Zappi comes out, it looks completely different. He's trying to throw the ball down the field and stuff like that. So I don't really know what's going on. But if you were to ask me who I think should be going forward, I think it's Zappi. I just think he offers something a bit more. He's not afraid to throw the ball downfield. Yeah, maybe that's not good for the defensive side of the game. I don't know with the turnovers, but maybe that was just a bad half of football. But I would go with Zappi.
Yeah, I mean, Zappy looked decent, but I think we're just all waiting for next year for Lamar Jackson.
Every week, Lamar Jackson. I mean, you might as well ring Bill and Robert Kraft to this day and say, "Come on,
Well,
are we
here's the
getting
thing.
Jackson or what?"
So I was looking at Spot Track and I was looking at overall next year's cap. And next year, the Patriots are planning to have, I think, just about $54 or $56 million, which they're ranked like third right now. What would be the Bears have over 100? They have $106 million, so they should be able to load up for Justin Fields. But overall, if Lamar Jackson is wanting like a $40 million type of deal, like $40 million a year, the Patriots could afford it. Could they get anyone else? Well, not too much, but I mean, if they want a franchise quarterback and Lamar Jackson does leave Baltimore, then I think the Patriots could afford it.
I mean, maybe, but it depends how much you're going to guarantee him in cash. I think that's the whole thing. Now,
Fully guaranteed.
fully guaranteed, you're going to do another Deshaun Watson type of thing. I
No, I don't.
mean,
I don't think the Patriots would do that. I'd be shocked if they did that.
I would be too. I mean, that whole Cleveland contract with Deshaun Watson's crazy, but that's started a precedence now of what's going to happen moving forward. That there's just going to be more money guaranteed for these guys. That is just kind of crazy. So I think that's what the whole thing is. Sure, did he not turn down 250 million guaranteed or something like that, or 250 million?
It was something along that. But how many
Something
years was
crazy.
that?
I'm not too sure. I just heard the money, like whatever, with the Ravens.
Because that means if that's 5 years, that's $50 million a year.
Yeah, I mean it's serious money. So, but then again, Lamar has to go prove it this year too. I mean, he has to doesn't matter if he's going to be back at the Ravens or go somewhere else. He still has to go prove it this year. And he's started off well, a bit scratchy last few weeks.
Yeah, a bit scratchy for sure. And of course, this dives into our news notes and injuries around the league. The Jets, they lose Brees Hall for the season, torn ACL. They're all in this year. Clearly, they traded for James Robinson. Is this the RB1 season for James Robinson officially?
Don't know, but it's a great move by the Jets. I think it came good on a good week as well when we seen Etienne get the full workload, and then Robinson was got a big zero for fantasy. But now going over to the Jets, he'll probably take over that RB1 role there with Michael Carter be thrown in as well. But it's a great move for him. I think it's a good move for anybody in fantasy because people were probably thinking about dropping James Robinson this week. Now all of a sudden you got to start an RB in your team.
Yeah, you got to start running back. I wonder if Michael Carter will get more of the workload first and then maybe transition to James Robinson. That's where I'm at. I don't know whether Michael Carter was a decent running back.
He is pretty good. He probably get a lot in the passing game, but it's probably going to be what happened this week with Wilson and McCaffrey. McCaffrey was only out there for a few plays. I'd say that'll happen for this week anyways. And then when he knows the playbook and all, I think it'll, be more of the James Robinson type of thing taken over from Brees Hall.
5-2 right now for the Jets. They got a tough next three matchups. After seeing last night, they don't really have a tough 2 out of the 3 matchups with the Patriots. They face the Patriots this next week. Then they go on to face the Bills, which is a big game. And then they go on to face the Patriots again. And realistically, they could leave the next 3 games 5-5.
Oh yeah, and Bill doesn't like losing to the Jets.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. So if you are going to turn up, it's going to be against the Jets. I mean, I think there's going to be some sort of backlash next week for your Patriots. It just depends who's at quarterback. That's the big decision that Bill's going to make.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. And of course, if they do win, say they do win to the Patriots next week, which I wouldn't be shocked, they face the Bills, and that's a division game. And I think that game determines on who is first place.
Yeah.
Because if the Jets win, they're in first place.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, the Bills will beat the Jets. I think the Bills are going to beat most teams this year, let's be honest. But I've got a question for you. What's the pressure like there on Belichick? Is he still untouchable, or, does he need to get it right sooner rather than later and start making runs?
Like his job security, I think I think he's untouchable. I mean, Belichick's been there. I think the biggest problem is a general manager. They need a true general manager, so that way they can take the pressure off Belichick. Because Belichick is a great head coach, but you also need a offensive coordinator who plays offense, not defense, or calls defense mainly. Matt Patricia is not the answer. I don't know. I think Matt Patricia could be out of a job. I think he might lose his job.
Him and Joe Judge.
Yeah.
Whatever Joe Judge is doing there as well.
Yeah. Whatever's happening over there. I think they need the Seahawks general manager. I think we got to steal you guys as general manager because y'all hitting everything, the draft picks, the everything.
I mean, we just had a good year. All the rookies that are playing.
Good year. You guys are in first.
We're in first. No one expected. I didn't expect it. I expected us being last in the division, but it's still early days. A good match this week against the Giants. I'm looking forward to that one. Not expecting the 6-1 Giants, but I think they'll give them a good run for the money. I wouldn't be surprised if we turn them over this week.
Yeah, you guys are currently in first place, of course, like I mentioned. 4-3, Rams 3-3, 49ers 3-4, Cardinals 3-4. What's the odds that Seahawks make the playoffs?
I mean, if they keep playing like they're playing, there's a good chance of them making the playoffs. See, there's no pressure on the Seahawks team because they weren't expected to do anything this year, and they're playing with no fear. Geno was going out there and he's balling out. Ken Walker's after coming in now and he looks great. Metcalf gone down with the injury, but doesn't seem like it's going to be too bad. Doesn't need surgery anyway. So he was determined to go out and practice today, but I'm sure Pete won't let him. But I'm sure he'll miss it at least this week. Lockett's still balling out, and the tight end's getting involved. So it's a really fun Seahawks team to watch. It hasn't been like that over the last few years. It was always, everything went through Russ, and Russ was the main guy, and so he should. Let's be honest, the quarterback is the main guy in the team. But now this year, it's more of a young defense, and Geno is stepping up. The playmakers are stepping up. We got Ken Walker coming in there that looked great. So yeah, it's a fun team. I just hope they keep it up and see where it goes.
Fan doing fancy things. Geno Smith also doing fancy things. QB7 overall. Denver, of course, being Denver, they're just terrible. 14.3 points per game, lowest scoring. They finally just got over double digits in points they've had. They have 100 overall points for, so they're terrible. Anyways, Buccaneers, Packers, biggest problems, biggest headlines. 3-4 this season. 3-4, both teams. Last year they finished 13-4. Of course, they were playoff contending teams, Super Bowl contending teams. They're looking outside, looking in. And this is Brady's first time that he's had a losing record since 2002.
That's crazy. That's good going as well, though. That's good going for somebody who's still 45 playing. But every time I watch the Bucks the weekend, he was going for these really, really deep balls, and I was like, could you not just get the 10 yards, the short yards, and get the first down and go? He was going off for the bombs. Okay, Mike Evans missed the.
I think they win. I think they win if they got Mike Evans' 75-yard touchdown or 70.
Yeah. Touchdown. I think if they started off with that and he catches it and doesn't fumble it and nearly catch it and then miss it, I think then they probably win. But I mean, even the defense looks pretty bad. Anybody can run through them these days. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. It's worrying times for the Bucks. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers' comments were interesting afterwards, saying he thinks that might have been the wake-up call. But I mean, I don't think so. The wake-up call is going to come against the Bills. I think they can get absolutely hammered against this Bills team.
Would you be shocked that if Brady or even Aaron Rodgers retires midseason?
No, wouldn't be surprised. I don't think Rodgers will, but I think there's a good chance Brady might, with everything that's supposedly going on off the field, or he'll take a break or something. I mean,
I'd be surprised.
I don't know. The guy loves football, but he loves winning. And at the moment, that team is not looking.
Well, here's the biggest issue. A lot of people are on the Brady problem and saying, "Oh, is Brady falling off?" The biggest problem is you have a head coach that had been unsuccessful. Todd Bowles is not the answer.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think they bring back Bruce. Bring back Bruce.
Bruce Arians. He's upstairs apparently, controlling the things, but it's not all on Brady. Like I said, the defense isn't good either. But I think Brady's got to do more on whatever his play calls are, and I'm sure Brady's doing his own thing. You got to just get the 10-yard, get the first down and go. Stop going for these. Because every time I watched it, every time I turn on that channel, it was like Brady 40, 50-yard throw, didn't hit the receiver, didn't hit the receiver. I was like, just get the first down and go.
Yeah.
The running game has been terrible, though. That's the thing. They are awful. Like, Fournette can't get out and go, and Rashard White is seeing more touches, but still not doing a whole lot with it. They're just a bad team at the moment, and so is the Packers, really. They're just a bad team.
Yeah, and we'll come back to the NFC South in a little bit. Going back to the AFC, though, Matt Ryan got benched for Sam Ehlinger, which is interesting. Am I surprised? No, I'm actually not. Matt Ryan's played awful. Someone else who also might lose his job is Carson Wentz. So two quarterbacks that changed teams this offseason. I didn't like both of them going to their new teams. And Matt Ryan officially benched, and Heineke could get his starting job back.
Yeah, Matt Ryan getting benched. I mean, it's not a surprise that he hasn't been good. The only thing is, I heard I don't know if people are just trying to make it happen or what, but Mac Jones, the Colts, get your trade there and keep Zappi. What do you think of that? Depends what you get for Mac Jones.
Yeah, it depends on what you get from Mac Jones. I think if you get a first back and like anything more than a first,
you'd have to take it.
You'd have to take it. But if you get anything under a first, I'd be willing to keep Mac Jones for the time being.
Oh, I think it's just all Twitter talk and stuff like that. It's just because the Colts are known to just change quarterback, just like that.
Yeah.
But
Colts are fully guaranteeing Matt Ryan's $24.7 million. So he's enjoying himself playing the bench.
He is, yeah. They restructured it as well, but it doesn't matter. He still gets all the cash. So, yeah, he's fine. Probably not the way he wanted his career to end. Yeah, he won't care. He's making a lot of money. But going on to Carson Wentz, Heineke has to start. We were saying this, I think, on previous weeks. We don't know why he wasn't the guy. He never got a chance at the start of the season after what he did last year. So Heineke gives him a way better chance of winning games, in my opinion. So I think Carson Wentz, when he comes back, should be staying on the bench. Heineke, I mean, don't get me wrong. He'd go out and have a bad game, and then all of a sudden Wentz is back in. But if he keeps up that type of form that he showed against Green Bay, he should be the starter.
Yeah, I think Heineke deserves the job over Wentz. I don't think Wentz has been a good quarterback since his injury.
No, I mean, he had his days at Philly, but then when he got a bad injury, he hasn't been the same.
Yeah, not at all. Now going over to our last news and notes before going on to some key injuries. So I just want to mention, I was on the radio yesterday on WCS 90.1, and I was looking at the overall standings. Okay, the overall standings, the lowest team with the most wins the lowest division with wins is the NFC South with 10 wins overall. Carolina just beat Tampa Bay. Carolina's 1 win away from being the top. Winning, the person who's at top is Tampa Bay right now, 3-4. If you look at the next week's games, Carolina has a division game. It's against Atlanta, who's second place right now. If Carolina wins that, they'll go above Atlanta. If Tampa Bay loses Thursday Night Football against Baltimore, Carolina Panthers will be on the top of the division technically, and if the season ended after week 8, they would technically be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how the NFL works sometimes. The Panthers are still not a good team, let's be honest. They got a good win, but they're still not a good team. They're obviously selling now for a rebuild. Robbie Anderson gone, DJ Moore gone. But, it's just crazy. I mean, if you got the Panthers in the playoffs, whoever plays them, I mean, you got to be happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like a buy, in my opinion.
I don't know where to put them in my power rankings right now, Carolina.
It's so hard to tell. I
They're right
mean,
now, they've been 32nd for the last few weeks, but with that win, I don't even want to put them above
31st.
30. Yeah, I really don't want to put them any higher. They
I
just,
mean, if they went out and won again this weekend, then you'd have to bump them up to the
yeah,
mid 20s or something. But yeah, I don't. They can't go. I mean, 30, 29, 30 is probably the highest.
yeah, exactly. Just some quick injury roundups here before we finally get into our busts of the week. DK Metcalf, Keith Carter, I've already talked about him. He's got a patellar tendon issue. There's no timeable return. He may return this week, but I would be shocked if they start him this week. Mike Williams, he has a high ankle sprain. He's planning on, quote, miss some time. I'm expecting 2 to 6 weeks, more likely 4 to 6 weeks in that range. Keenan Allen, hamstring injury. It's still lingering. It's still lingering there. The good thing is Keenan Allen and the Chargers are in a desperate need of a bye week, and this is their week that they get their bye week. So kudos to them. They finally get their bye week, and hopefully maybe get Mike Williams somehow back, which I'd be very shocked if that ankle sprain ends up being actually minor.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen should be healthy week 9, but keep an eye out on that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, possible concussion. They were deemed that he never actually had a concussion, but due to the new league circumstances, if he's not really there, aka like Tua, then he shouldn't play for the rest of the game. He should be ruled out for the rest of the game, which he was. He should be ready for week 8. Lazard, shoulder injury. He's questionable for week 8. They may take a chance on playing him. I wouldn't be surprised because they need a wide receiver that can catch a ball. Dobbs is not the guy. Christian Watson is not the guy. Tunyon might be the guy, and so on and so forth. David Njoku, last guy, high ankle sprain. He's out 2 to 5 weeks. So some big names.
Yeah, one's just no for fantasy going forward, I suppose.
Yeah. So those are some big names. If you have those backups, make sure to keep an eye on those, stream those guys for the next coming weeks. But now it's time to go out to our bust of the week. Bust of the week, I'll start with my guy. And my guy is Isaiah Pacheco. And the reason why is he was added very early on Sunday morning, like around 8:30 a.m. or 8 a.m. Eastern time. He was announced that he would be the starting running back for Kansas City, and everybody blew up. The Twitter friends and family and cousins and so on, they were all excited because they're on the Pacheco train. They're on the Pacheco train. So they decided that they would pick him up, and if you needed a running back, you're probably starting him. And he gave you a dud week. He gave you 4.3 points this week, 8 attempts, 43 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire stole a touchdown. He had 6 attempts, 32 yards, and a touchdown. Neither running back did good this week. Clyde is somehow still like top 12 or top 15 running back. And Pacheco, I think, broke a lot of people's hearts. And they might be getting a divorce papers ready for Pacheco.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, Clyde keeps saving himself because he keeps getting in the end zone. That's how it's. He's not seeing that many attempts, but he keeps finding himself in the end zone. I mean, yeah, Pacheco is he's a good talent, but I wasn't rushing out to see if he was, available on waivers and get him in and stuff like that. These things always happen. Okay, if he blew up, we wouldn't be talking about him.
Exactly.
Might be the surprise. Who knows? But he still has plenty of potential. He's only, first year rookie, so we'll see what happens. It was just a more surprise that he is now the starter over Clyde. But then again, if Clyde gets a touchdown, he's going to save you more weeks than not. So it's just kind of one to watch going forward how they split the carries.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not in on any of the running backs. I don't know why people are so in on Pacheco. Maybe it's because of his college, but I'm not too interested in him. If I have him, I'm selling him.
Yeah,
dynasty wise for sure.
Dynasty, yeah, you might get a first from. Who knows? Depends on who wants him.
How excited. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see on that. I mean, who knows? Maybe he does blow up. I don't know. Anyways,
yep.
Who's your bust of the week? Who was the dub of the week?
Romeo Doubs, man, 4 targets, 0 receptions. This guy, everybody's been talking about him, how well he's been doing, but like the previous week, he got 6 fantasy points. The week before that, he got 5.9 fantasy points. It's not just a 1 week thing. He hasn't been putting up numbers the last 3 weeks. Do not start him going forward. I mean, I had no choice this week. I had to put him in a flex in 1 league. Got a big fat donut for it, so I did not win that matchup. But yeah, going forward, you can't trust them until you see some production.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned a couple weeks ago, and clearly Juliet, aka Aaron Rodgers, is not looking for Romeo anymore. Romeo is not the guy. Romeo Dobbs dropped a wide open, like he was right there. He caught it for a first down, and he blew his chances there. And Aaron Rodgers was frustrated. He was like, "Nah, Romeo, I'm done with you. You're out. You're out the door."
I mean, he's just going to go to the guys he trusts, Tanya and Lazard, if he's healthy. You know, he lost Cobb, who's his friend, I suppose. But yeah, so it's probably getting thin there. So you'll probably see Aaron Jones get more work out of the backfield if Dobbs can't step up.
Honestly, put Dylan in the wide receiver slot.
Dylan needs to get more work, man. He's killing me in some of my leagues playing him as an RB2 because I have no choice, but he's absolutely killing me. I mean,
he did good week 1.
He did, yeah, and all the expectation, but yeah, I think it just kind of goes with this bad Packers offense. You know what I mean? You can't really trust any of them.
Yeah, no, you can't. I'm actually out. I'm out on every single wide receiver on Green Bay. I'm out on Aaron Rodgers. The only one I'm not out on is Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon occasionally.
Dylan, I need to put him on my bench and kind of watch and see how it goes. That's the way I feel. It's too many bad weeks, so far.
Let's see. John has a question. 10-team family league through ESPN. With Njoku out, I'm looking at Dulcich and Rachaad White, trying to gauge different opinions with those two. With Njoku out, I'm probably going with Dulcich.
I mean, if you need a tight end, I'd grab Dulcich. She had a good week last week.
10 teams, I feel like that there's got to be better players. If this is a flex play type of thing, then don't look at the tight end positions. Look at the wide receiver running backs.
Yeah, exactly. On Rachaad White, there has to be, I'd rather Chuba Hubbard, Deonta Foreman, if you're going there. I mean, Jacoby Myers might be out there. Tyler Boyd might be out there. I'd rather some of these guys.
I told people to get Myers. He's over 70% owned now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with I agree with Keith. If you do need a tight end, go with Dulcich. Honestly, don't go with Dulcich. Go with another guy in 10 teams. There's got to be someone open.
See if Dalton Schultz is out there. He's been dropped in nearly every league I'm in.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to be going for him on waivers. I know he's over 70%, but it's just very noticeable, how many people let him go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, with the bias this week, watch who people are dropping. There's going to be some decent players being dropped. So be alert to pick them up if you can stash them or for next week.
Exactly. Bust of the week, Isaiah Pacheco, Romeo Dobbs are 2 busts. And now it's time to go to our biggest surprises of the week. Keith, give it to me.
The Panthers team.
We already mentioned it. And it's great. It's great. I love hearing it.
Crazy. But for fancy purposes, Foreman, 16.5. Hubbard, over 15 points. DJ Moore got 19 points. Come on, that guy has been stalling all season. All of a sudden, he gets 19 points. The first week in one of my leagues, I actually put him on the bench. I was like, oh, great. Of course, that happens. PJ Walker, 15.8 fantasy points. I mean, these guys had a week. And if you had any of these guys in your lineup, I hope you won because it's about time that a Panther, produced for your team. So, yeah, the Panthers beating the Bucs was the biggest surprise for me this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we already touched on the Panthers beating the Bucs and how they may be in first place after next week. And I don't know what's wrong with the Panthers. I guess they have the same amount of wins as when they had CMC on the team. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening with the Panthers. Who knows? Maybe they're going to win the division. Imagine.
Maybe that's all they needed to do. Just get rid of CMC,
take the pressure off their defense loose. And everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Let them all loose and see what happens.
My guy is in where is he? AFC South? Yeah, AFC South. He's in the AFC South. He goes to a camp. He rings the bells. It's Paris Campbell. This man, he is somehow shocked the world this week. Everyone thought Alec Pierce. 2.9% owned. And that's my biggest surprise. He's 2.9% owned. And I thought he would be a little higher up coming into this week because of his week production 2 weeks ago. He had 11 targets, which that's what you like to see, 7 receptions, 57 yards, and a touchdown, 18.7 points 2 weeks ago. And then you look at last week, and he had 12 targets, 10 receptions, 70 yards, and a score. So he got you 23 points. The odds of you starting him was very slim. So he was my biggest surprise. Moving forward is the biggest question. That's the biggest question because of Sam Ehlinger, because Ehlinger is getting his first career start, literally. First, really a big appearance, extended action he's seeing on the field. So I want to see what's going to happen. Alec Pierce may take a little bit of a hit. Campbell could take a little bit of a hit. Anyone else? Pittman could take a hit. I don't know.
I mean, Paris Campbell, just touching on him first. He's a guy I've always liked, but he always has a problem staying fit and healthy. He always goes down with these season-ending injuries early on. And this year is the first time he's been healthy now in a couple of years. So he's kind of shown what he can do. But like you said, the biggest thing now is what happens with the QB change. So I'm expecting Pittman still to be all right. If you have Pittman, you're starting Pittman. But, Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with them. I think you kind of have to watch and see who Sam Ehlinger kind of, leans towards outside of Pittman. So it's more kind of a watch and see. If you're stuck because of bye weeks, put him in a flex.
Yeah.
And kind of just roll the dice and see what happens. But
especially deep leagues.
Exactly, yeah, especially in deep leagues. But I think it's more of a watch and brief this week and see what happens with the new QB.
Yeah, John coming back in. Dalton Schultz is out there. I don't have to read anymore. Dalton Schultz should be the guy. I love it. Waller has been putting up disappointing numbers after this past couple of weeks. Traded him for Henderson and thinking about flipping Henderson for a better wide receiver. He's maybe AJ Brown, Chris Olave, CeeDee Lamb, Alec Pierce, George Pickens. Well, if you're trading Henderson, I don't think you're going to get Brown, Olave, or Lamb, but you may have a chance of getting Pierce or Pickens.
Oh, I agree. I think it's kind of going from one spectrum to the other. You're going from the top down to the little bit lower there. But if you can mix in someone else with Henderson, then sure, maybe you can get AJ Brown or Lamb.
Add Waller in there because of the name.
Yeah, who knows? But if Schultz is definitely available, yeah, you go get Schultz. I mean, it looked like at one stage he actually got banged up, Schultz, but he played the whole game. So
he came back.
Yeah, I'm sure he's fine. So they wouldn't have taken a chance with the knee, especially, it's a knee injury. They're pretty serious. If they didn't think he was fine. So he did okay coming back with Dak. I expect that only to get better as the games go on.
And he's going to get more points than Kyle Pitts. I'm still having that hope because Dak Prescott's back.
I mean, Kyle Pitts it's been a disaster there. It's Mariota.
It's time to drop him. It's getting
to that stage, all right. If you're in Dynasty,
well, Dynasty, no, but
you have to hold. Yeah, redraft, yeah. Dynasty, you have to hold, but you won't get, because if you try to trade him, you won't get what you want. You definitely won't get a first back from anyways. You kind of just have to see what happens. I mean, Mariota just wants to run the ball more times than not. So it didn't look very good against the Bengals, but the Bengals were great this week. I mean, Joe Burrow was great in offense. The defense stood up, didn't allow a point in the second half. So, yeah, but Kyle Pitts, the Kyle Pitts truthers out there now, I think it's time to move on. Yeah,
for sure. Surprises of the week, Paris Campbell and the Panthers, of course. We have a question in YouTube. Benvolio, Hill and Montgomery for JT and Amari Cooper. The question is which Hill? I'm guessing it's Tyreek Hill. And if it's Tyreek Hill, David Montgomery. For Jonathan Taylor and Amari Cooper, I'm keeping Tyreek Hill and David Montgomery. I think David Montgomery and Tyreek Hill win that trade.
I don't mind the other side. Amari Cooper's been pretty good so far. And
I don't mind the other side either, but
I think JT is going to get better. I'm actually leaning JT and Amari Cooper, so we don't actually help here. But yeah, I think the Colts are. I mean, Sam Ehlinger comes in, you're kind of nervous, but it shouldn't really affect JT. You should see, if anything, you should see more touches. Yeah. So, and Amari Cooper has been surprisingly good with Jacoby Brissett, and Watson's not too far away from coming back. That should only improve. So I'm going JT and Cooper.
I'd rather have Tyreek and Montgomery for sure, in my opinion. But I do like JT. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good. It's not a bad trade. I think the other side wins just a little bit. Tyreek Hill and David Montgomery. Time to go to our streamers of the week, and I'll start with my guy. And the reason why I'm having him streamed is because of DeAndre Swift. It's Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams. He didn't really do you that great this week, but DeAndre Swift is still battling the injury. And if he's not ready to suit up this week, I think Williams gets some more touches. Will get the touches, and I'm expecting Jamal Williams to get back and bounce back game after last week if DeAndre Swift is out, and he's my streamer of the week.
Don't mind the call, but yeah, you just have to watch if Swift is out. I mean, Jamal Williams didn't have a great week. He would have had a better week if he didn't fumble right in the goal line.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't get it in that time, he was probably going to run it in, on the next down. Dan Campbell was not happy. So that's something you may want to watch out for. I don't know. Is Craig Reynolds just going to jump ahead of Williams now? I wouldn't expect it, but yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams has been good this season. Even with Swift out there, he's usually getting all the work around the goal line. He just does not have to fumble the ball. Just keep it in your hands and cross the goal line. So yeah, it's a pretty good call. I don't mind the call.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. Who is your streamer of the week? Is it Heinz the Ketchup Man?
No, it's Taylor Heineke, the Heineken Man. I mean, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay, he had the 1 interception, 14 fantasy points is not brilliant, but he looked better and he gave his team a chance to win, and they won. They bet the Green Bay Packers. Okay, the Packers have not been that good so far, but I don't think a Carson Wentz-led Commanders would have beaten the Packers. Heineke looked good, played very well, plays the Colts this week, who have a very underwhelming defense so far. I think he can take advantage of this. It's going to be interesting, like we've already been talking about with the quarterback change for the Colts. So Heineke, I think this is a game the Commanders can definitely win, and I think Heineke could have a big game. He started to throw the ball around a lot. Terry McLaurin seen a lot of targets from. So I'm expecting a good game from Heineke, and I think the Commanders will edge this game.
And Heineke can also rush and scramble out of the pocket. And I like Heineke over Carson Wentz. And I think Carson Wentz deserves to be benched. And we're going to keep talking about it until he gets benched. So I like Heineke. I'm willing to start him actually this week if needed, if I don't have a quarterback.
Yep. No, you should.
And I do want to mention this week has been awful in fantasy. In my Scott Fish Bowl, I tied.
I seen the tie on Twitter. Like, has anybody ever tied on Scott Fish?
Scott was telling me that supposedly people have. He said definitely not the first, but definitely something crazy because that pushes me out of first place.
I was about to say, yeah, because ties are not worth much. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so bad, and it's also based on the league median, and the league median was 6 more points, so I got a loss and a tie.
Oh, well, that sucks. Oh yeah, because you're doing the median on the sleeper. All right, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's been a terrible week. I lost because I started Kyler Murray over Joe Burrow. It's been such an awful week.
There's still 2 leagues I'm 7-0, and I don't think that's ever happened before, so I'm happy with that. I think I'm in a league with you anyways.
That's the league I lost, the ESPN league. I lost because I didn't start Burrow.
Oh man.
I started Murray, and I thought Murray was gonna have a game.
Burrow balled out.
Yeah, Burrow decided to ball out, clearly. I'm 5-2 in that league, but I'm catching up. I think the most wins I've gotten straight, like undefeated, is like 8-0. So you could tie with me.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens this week.
Streamers of the week: Jamal Williams and Taylor Heineke. Now it's time to go our waiver wire week, and it's waiver wire quarterbacks. Time to go with that. And Keith, who is your guy? Are we tripping?
We're tripping. I mean, he didn't trip last week.
He did. No one noticed. No one noticed.
Trip. I seen that. I did trip, but I mean, he still had 107 yards on the ground running, so he didn't trip a lot. But I did see him trip. So, by the way, we're talking about Daniel Jones, 202 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, he had 11 attempts for 107 yards and another touchdown. 28 fantasy points. I mean, what's going on with the Giants? What's going on with Daniel Jones? They didn't take up his 5th-year option. All of a sudden, he looks like he's going to be, getting another contract next year somewhere anyways. Because we've seen a different side to him. It's obviously this Brian Daboll offense has completely improved everything for the Giants. I mean, they play the Seahawks this week. Like I said earlier, my Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are going to edge this, but I still think it's going to be a good game, probably a high-scoring game. Daniel Jones should ball out again against the young Seahawks secondary. Mm-hmm. But Daniel Jones has been great so far this season. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. What is it? He's got more rushing yards, more rushing touchdowns than
he has in like his whole career.
Yeah, but then more than Najee Harris. More yards per rush as well than Najee Harris. I mean, like, you were taking Najee Harris in your drafts back at the 1st, 3rd, 2nd. I mean, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad you saw that he tripped because it was
He
just the
did trip.
funniest. It was just
did.
the
He was going
funniest
down.
thing.
He broke down the side, and then all of a sudden, yeah,
Yes,
he fell. I seen it.
it was the funniest thing. Not many people talked about it, but I was like, oh, he tripped again. He did it. And then there's no Twitter hype, which was sad.
Yeah, it's like at some stages, like his feet just get too big for his body and he falls over.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, they declined their 5th-year option on him. He would have been getting about 22 million, I think it would have been this year if he got or next year if he got the 5th year. If they franchise tag him, they pay him $31 million. And I highly doubt I'm paying anyone like Daniel Jones $31 million. I'd rather spend $9 million more to get Lamar Jackson.
I was about to say, I bet you're going to say something about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I just don't think Daniel Jones is worth it. And I think, in all honesty, I think
maybe he's just a slow burner. Maybe this is the Daniel Jones we see now for years.
I mean, maybe it could be, but I don't think they pay him. I don't think they pay him, and I think they move on from him. And then some other team,
it'd be hard if they keep going.
Yeah,
and they make the playoffs. I mean, they're going to franchise tag him at that.
Well, if they make the playoffs and somehow make it to like the championship game, then they may franchise him, tag him, and then maybe sign an extension in the offseason, and then he's going to be the dud of the year, and then he's going to pull a Russell Wilson, and then he's going to get traded to the Colts, and then
But that wouldn't be a bad shout either, getting traded to the Colts. So
yeah,
any quarterback that's kind of done well,
I'm willing to have Daniel Jones. I'm willing to have Daniel Jones over Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz.
Yeah, for sure.
George Cook coming in, trade Swift and Ertz to get Kelsey from sit at running back. He's got Barkley, Walker, Pierce, and Jamal Williams. Well,
I don't argue.
George, you're cooking if you get that trade.
Yeah, I don't argue it. I mean, it's one that could be done too. If that team is running back needy, go get Kelsey.
Ertz isn't a bad tight end. It's not like you have a huge downgrade in tight end. And Swift actually is a top running back when he's healthy. So I like it.
Yeah.
If that's all you need, go for it.
Short and sweet, yes.
Waiver wire quarterbacks, of course, you mentioned Daniel Jones. My guy, I'm bringing back my cousin Kirk Cousins. He's coming back. Why? Because I mentioned him last week that they were on a bye week. Watch his percentage owned because it might go under 70%. And guess what? It did. He's 66.7% owned. He's a QB 13 on top of that bye week, which is still pretty good. I mean, I think that's really good for a team that's on a bye week and still staying in the top 13. Coming off that bye week, he's of course got Thielen, Jefferson, and it's going to be a trio field day. I mean, if you're in need of a quarterback, this is my favorite quarterback to add this week because you can't go wrong. You have the weapons there, and they're facing Arizona, and Arizona is ranked 32nd in opponent passing yards, allowing on average over 300 passing yards per game. So field day coming for Thielen, Jefferson, and maybe some passing work to Dalvin Cook.
I agree with you. Not a lot to say about this. I kind of agree with everything you said there. I was going to throw it in that Arizona are, one of the worst secondaries so far. So I would imagine, like you said, big day for the wide receivers. So that means a big day for Kirk Cousins. So yeah, I agree with this.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, our two waiver wire quarterbacks of the week. George coming back. Who should I stream at tight end? Dulcich? No, don't stream Dulcich. Don't stream anyone in Denver. We'll actually talk about two players that you should get upcoming pretty soon once we get into the waiver wire tight ends. But waiver wire running backs now. It's time for the running backs. And Keith, I just want to mention Pierce. Dameon Pierce is doing such a great job. I called it.
You did, Jay. You were a big fan before the year. I wasn't too sure just because of how the Texans offense is. But yeah, that guy, he looks so good. I mean, he has angry runs. Like, he can just take linebackers with him. He's looked great. So he's one for the future for the Texans for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that as a running back. Who is your guy?
So it's interesting with the running backs that are coming up here. So I went for Deonta Foreman. He was 35% roster, which I thought was interesting. I thought it was a lot higher than what he was going to be. But he had 15 attempts, 118 yards, a couple of receptions for 27 yards, over 16 fantasy points. Pretty good day because he split carries with Chuba Hubbard. He's seen less. Chuba Hubbard's seen about 60% of the carries. But Hubbard did go down with that, ankle issue. Now I
Mhm.
believe it's minor, and he could have come back into the game, but
They decided not to. Yeah.
yeah, they decided not to, and it's just kind of one to watch. I'd rather just go with the guy who's fully healthy. I mean, we've seen Foreman be pretty good before in the league. Yeah, I think he's one to pick up. This is going to be an interesting backfield now that McCaffrey's gone. I still think both, if Hubbard's out there as well, I still think
Mhm.
both are going to get a lot of work. But if not, for some reason that Hubbard is, out this week, Foreman's going to get it all, and I think he'd be a great start. I think even low end RB2 if Hubbard's out. If not, then both of them are just flex plays.
Yeah, I like Deontay Foreman, but his first name meaning don't add Foreman. It's Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard is my guy. So Keith and I are in a little bit of a predicament here on who is going to actually finish the season better. We saw Chuba last year. We saw how good Hubbard was. He got you those 18 points per game, the 20 points. Did he have dead weeks? Yeah, he did, of course. You don't really see that. You expect to see that from a backup running back. He had 9 attempts, 63 yards, and a touchdown. He also had 3 targets, 2 receptions, and 10 yards. So, not to mention, he did leave the game early with the ankle injury. But I think Hubbard is the guy. Foreman had most of his yards basically just on that one run that was like 60 yards. You take that 60 yards away, he only has 58 rushing yards on the day. Hubbard's not planning on missing time. He should be back next week. And I think that we should have a little minor bet here on who finishes the season better.
I'm up for it. I'm good with that, so I'll take Foreman for the rest of the season.
You sure you don't want to take Chuba? You sure you don't want to take Chuba?
I'll take Foreman. I'll take the mini Derrick Henry. That's fine.
All right. Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard are 2 waiver wire running backs of the week. And yeah, you mentioned that he was what, 30-something% owned, you said?
35% rostered, but that's going into that. I thought that was high going into that. I thought it'd be way lower.
Really? You thought it was high?
Yeah.
Really?
I thought it was high.
I expected him to be like 50%.
No, I wasn't expecting many people. I thought everybody go straight in for Chuba first, straight off the bat, and leave kind of Foreman to after. So I was kind of surprised. That's why I was high.
I totally forgot about Chuba. So my mind was, Foreman. And I picked up Foreman in a lot of my leagues, and I regret adding Foreman because I want.
So you picked up my guy and left your guy. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, my mind didn't click that Chuba was still there, and then when I realized Chuba was there, it was already too late to add him. So
there's probably no point having 2 because you'll just have more headaches.
Well, yeah.
So that's probably better just to have 1 on your roster.
I might trade Deontay Foreman out, try and get Chuba in another package.
Get Chuba in. Who knows? Yeah, you could do it.
Chuba's only 25.9% owned, so that's also another thing.
That's interesting. I thought that'd be flip flopped. I thought he'd be higher.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but expect those to be 50% owned, and expect us to be talking about Chuba next week and not Deontay Foreman. Anyways, those are our 2 waiver wire running backs. Time to go to our waiver wire wide receivers. And boy, oh boy. Keith, let's start with you so I can pick apart your guy.
Oh, you can pick apart my guy. It's TB Tyler Boyd, 56% rostered. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 155 yards, and a touchdown. This guy had a week, but so did the Bengals. Burrow went off the chain. Chase had a good game. Higgins had a good game. They all had a good game. But I still think this can be something that can continue going forward because his offense is so high-powered. Tyler Boyd is so underrated. And what he does for this team, people don't really see it a lot because they look at Higgins and Chase. Boyd is the guy in the slot generally, especially in tight games, that gives you the short yards. He gets a lot of targets. He doesn't kind of blow the top off like he did for his big touchdown often, but he has the ability to do that because it's usually Chase doing that. But he's still going to be very, very fancy relevant going forward. Flex play, yes, I think he's a low end wide receiver 2 going forward, but he's a certain your flex moving forward. High powered offense. I can't say more. I've always liked Tyler Boyd, always. And he's generally, I think he nearly hits the 70% roster most years. So when he's seen him at 56%, I thought it was very surprising. So this guy needs to be owned in all leagues, in my opinion.
So coming into this week, the last 3 weeks before he faced Atlanta, he hasn't put up more than 13 points those 3 weeks, and overall he hasn't put up more than 14 any single game except for the Jets. We had 4 receptions, 105 yards, and a score, and that was his only week he had over 20 points. So I decided to bite the bullet, and you don't bite a bullet, you end up eating it, and I dropped Tyler Boyd.
Oh, good. You did well.
Yeah. It was actually very, very small. Like it's like a 10-team league, but your bench is like only 5 players. So it was like really, really condensed. So I was like, oh, I don't need Tyler Boyd. Let me pick up, I think Deontay Foreman or someone around that line. And I dropped him, and he scored 29.5 points, and he sat on my free agency market. Well, I watched it really suffer on my team losing.
Well, it's like, I'll take this one as well. It was like when Katie was doing our lineup in work, and who should you go with, Romeo Dobbs or Tyler Boyd? We leaned Dobbs, and Dobbs got a big fat donut. So lucky that, the points that Tyler Boyd got, wouldn't have made a difference if she didn't win our week this week. But if she did, I was in trouble. But we got away with it.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm not a big fan of Tyler Boyd is you can't have 3. I mean, you can have 3 amazing receivers, which that's what the Bengals have, and Higgins, Boyd, and of course Jamar Chase. But not every team and not every player, is going to be able to have those weeks every single week, except for Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is the one guy that will get you that every week, and of course Boyd coming into that game, that's now his second time the whole season he's scored over 20 points. And four times he scored over 10 points. So I'm not.
Well, that's why he's generally a solid flex play. So that's what I mean. Like going forward, you see what the upside he has. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if you just start him in your flex, okay, you might get to 10, 11, but he has the upside to hit over 20. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And with Burrow, I think Burrow's just going to keep this form up. He looks red hot right now. So there's every chance Tyler Boyd can get somewhere between 50 and 20 going forward.
Yeah, and he's averaging, technically with that score, he's averaging 13.6 points. I think it's not a bad pickup if I may be trying to pick him up again. He's wide receiver 17. Of course 17.
He will be
now. He's wide receiver 17, but I'm on the fence with him. It's not someone I would start because I'd rather start Higgins over Boyd, and I'd start Chase, of course, over him. But yeah, I'm not a big. I'm on the fence with Boyd, so I'm not picking him up. But I am picking this next guy, and this guy is George from down the street. George Pickens, this man has been electric. I mean, electric. Wide receiver 44 overall, so of course that doesn't look electric. But man's only 55.5% owned, 6 targets, 6 receptions. He caught all of those, 61 yards. Man had a lot of 6 points. 6 receptions, 6 points. 61 yards, 6.1 points. 1 touchdown, 6 points. He finished the day on 18.1 points. Claypool was my guy last week. He's over 70% owned now. He's like 74% owned. Pickett's had double digits the last 3 of the 4 weeks. And what better way of having consistency? Because Boyd doesn't have that consistency. His targets have been averaging around like 7 targets a game past 4 weeks. Of course, first 2 weeks of that 4-week span, it was 8 targets. Last 2 weeks, 6 targets. And I'm expecting Pickens to continue on that. I really think it's Claypool and Claypool and Pickens. I'm not a big fan of Deontay.
I mean, I really like George Pickens. I like the talent, and he's better off, I think, with Kenny Pickett as quarterbacks. They have that connection, but it kind of depends from week to week. I think who kind of goes off on that offense. It's Claypool and it's Pickens. And like you said, you're not a big fan of Deontay. I like Deontay Johnson, but he seems like he's kind of like the odd man out at the moment. But there has been calls apparently for Claypool. He could be getting traded, so things could change there, I believe. But from a George Pickens point of view, I think he's a great pickup. Again, though, he's probably just a flex play at most, just because I think it's going to vary week to week. Someone's going to have a big week in the offense. You just kind of have to take a gamble and hope it's Pickens.
Yeah, and if Claypool does get traded, Pickens is a must-own in 100% of leagues.
Oh yeah, he gets a massive boost. He's going to be. I mean, Deontay Johnson.
His future is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, in theory, Deontay Johnson's wide receiver 1, but George Pickens is going to be right up there if Claypool gets traded.
Yeah, And hopefully Deontay Johnson gets traded so I can be right on Claypool and Pickens, because I do like them. And I think if Claypool does leave, I think Claypool still stays relevant depending on where he goes.
Oh yeah. They all. I like them all. Deontay Johnson just has the drop problem still, I suppose, the hands. But they're all talented guys.
Yeah. So George Pickens, Tyler Boyd, be sure to pick them all up, pick the boys up. So time to now go to our waiver wire tight ends. And Keith, who is your tight end? It's getting tighter and tighter by the week.
It is. It's getting hard to pick, but I mean, I've brought this guy up a few times. It's Hayden Hurst. He's 47% rostered. He's definitely getting up there. It's 8 targets, 6 receptions, 48 yards. Yet over 10 fantasy points. The guy has been super consistent though. I think he's averaging about over 9 points. I mean, you got to be happy with that if he's not getting you a touchdown. If he's getting you a touchdown on top of that, I mean, that's a good week. He's just super consistent. I don't have a whole lot to say. I think he's a guy that you should be just plugging and playing every week. If you're struggling, you don't know who to play, or like we got a question earlier, you're looking to stream someone this week, I would stream Hayden Hurst.
See, here's the problem. He's in Cincinnati. So you're saying now that there's 4 receiving options.
But Burrow has shown he can handle all these. You know what I mean? He's been able to. He did it last week. I mean, I think T. Higgins probably had 14 points. Chase went off for over 30. I mean, we see Hayden Hurst here has 10. Tyler Boyd at 29. Burrow's able to handle all these guys. He's able to spread the ball around when he wants to. So the consistency is just going to be there, I think, every week. And he's when they've been in tighter games, Hurst has been able to get them out of trouble. He ends up in the end zone when the big guys get, Chase or Higgins or Boyd get double covered. So I think Hurst is a guy you can put in, especially for someone looking for a stream this week.
Yeah, I mean, you're all in on Hayden Hurst. I think I had him one of my weeks because of how bad the tight end market has been. He's currently tight end 11, and he scored double digits the last 3 of the 4 weeks, or excuse me, the 3 of the last 4 weeks. Yeah, against New Orleans, he had 5.1 points. So I think Hayden Hurst, if you're in desperate need, he is technically a top 12 tight end. So I'm not out on him, but again, it's going to be hard to really pick apart your tight ends and find them. Dalton Schultz is my guy, but he's over 70%. Dalton Schultz
is the guy. Yeah, he's over 75, and he's out there in a lot of leagues. But yeah, he's a guy we can't bring up on the show really and talk too much about because he's over 70% owned.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, George is in the sideline waiting to hear my other tight end. And my tight end is someone I mentioned already previous is Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram, this man has had 6+ targets, 9+ points these last 3 weeks. Lawrence has been really connecting with him those last 3 weeks, and Ingram's been getting more involved. And the only thing he's shy of is that touchdowns. And I'm a big fan for not scoring touchdowns and still scoring high points because it goes to show that you don't know when your touchdowns are going to come. Hayden Hurst has scored no touchdowns and have yet had 9+ points the last 3 weeks. He's tight end 13 right now, and he's only 33.3% owned, and he's facing Denver, and Denver has been horrendous. So, of course, George is mentioning that he's in trouble because Ingram and Hurst are both taken in his 12-team league. But yeah.
Then let me jump in there. Dulcich isn't bad then. If you're struggling, yeah, Dulcich. Then if everybody else is taken, I know we mentioned that one. I don't mind going that. If there's anyone else there on his waivers and you want to list them off, I can see who else I'd recommend. But Dulcich, then I'd go with him.
Yeah, George, put in the comments what other players are available, what other tight ends are available in your league, and we can kind of pick apart those. But yeah, I like Ingram. I don't know if you like Ingram.
I really liked Ingram back in the Giants days until he got all his injuries because he's just an athletic dude, good hands. Mm-hmm. Used to find the end zone. Now it's kind of like, okay, the last 2 weeks he's looked pretty good. Hasn't found the end zone, which is what he's missing. Mm-hmm. But Lawrence and this offense definitely looks better. He's definitely a guy to watch going forward, whether he can keep up the consistency. We knew from last year, even when the Jags were bad, Lawrence did like to throw to the tight end position. So that is a plus for Evan Ingram. I just want to see if he can be consistent and keep it up. I mean, I'm not expecting big weeks from him or anything, but if he can just keep 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that kind of range. And then if he finds the end zone, then yeah, go for it. But yeah, it's more kind of a watch and brief for me. I'd rather Hurst.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of Ingram back when he was in the Giants. I was never a big fan of him, and then now he's on Jacksonville, and I like him. So,
I mean, it's so tight at this. Like you're saying, Hayden Hurst he's a top. What is he? Top 15? He's 12.
Top 13, number 13.
Okay, I mean it's not hard to the way the landscape is. It kind of drops off. One big week or a couple of decent weeks, you shoot right up there, guys. It's getting dicey down there. You gotta take your chance and hope it works out.
Exactly. George is mentioning Dulcich, Disley, Fant, and Johnson on the Saints. Jawan Johnson.
I'd
like Fant.
I'd shoot for upside and go Dulcich. I mean, Gino throws the ball around too much to the tight ends. Sometimes it's this,
but
sometimes
DK.
Fant. I know he's out, but I'm expecting an uptick for Marquise Goodwin there if DK's out. We seen it last week when he went down. I don't think he's a brilliant receiver or anything like that, but we've seen where Gino went with the ball. I mean, you're kind of gambling on Disley, Fant, and Colby Parkinson. If you're kind of hoping you pick the right one and one ends in the end zone, so I would go for Dulcich.
I think Dulcich, he only had about 3 targets and he caught all 3. And of course that ended up with a score. And that's why he kind of is like very high. People are high on him. And I'm willing to take the chance with the other 3, not including Dulcich. I'm willing to take the chance on Fant, even though Fant scored a dud last week.
Dulcich probably also has more connection with the backup as well, Rippon, from starting off in training camp and stuff like that. Because, he was kind of coming back from injury. He probably wasn't with the starters and all that. So that's probably why Rippon looks at him. But yeah, so you're Fant. I'm Dulcich. Up to you, George, I suppose.
Yeah. Evan Ingram, Hayden Hurst are 2 waiver wire tight ends. And last but not least, it's Trick or Treat edition. Halloween's coming up. Basically, what we're going to do is players who may trick you this week or give you a nice big treat for week 8. And Keith and I, we got some players and names down, and basically I'll be asking Keith, and I'll be also answering on whether or not it's a trick or a treat. So Keith, we'll start with the quarterbacks quickly. Tom Brady, QB 12. He's got 11.7 points this past week. He's going against Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. Is he a trick or is he a treat?
I'll take Tom Brady. Yeah, I'll play Tom Brady. They got to get back. Got to get back right at some stage. Oh, I think he's a treat. I don't think he'll trick you this week.
Yeah, I think he's a treat as well. Completely agreed. I think he's going to have a bounce back game. He's very frustrated. He's especially QB 12 still going to do you good. Russell Wilson, QB 22, missed last week due to an injury. Expected to play this week against Jacksonville. Jacksonville not the best defense, but not the worst defense. Is Russell Wilson a trick? Or is he going to give you some hope and give you a nice big treat?
No, even if he's healthy enough to play, he's definitely a trick so far. There's nothing I've seen maybe a quarter of football that looks like the old Russell Wilson. I mean, he hasn't shown enough to make me think that he's going to get these Broncos, receivers and the offense moving the way he did in Seattle. So, he's a trick.
He's a trick for me as well. Don't expect that treat. Darrell Henderson, RB38, starting right now over Cam Akers. Cam Akers expected to be traded, going against a tough defense, San Francisco. Is he a trick or is he a treat?
The tough one. The whole the Rams offense hasn't looked great outside of Cooper Kupp this year.
I'll pitch in. I think he's going to give you a treat.
I'm on the fence with this one. I think you'll be hoping he gets to the end zone, and that will make you happy. So I'll say he's a trick.
Okay. So our first
the 40. I know that the Chiefs kind of blew them out in the end, but the 49ers defense is good.
All right. We'll have to see on that one this upcoming week. Zeke and Pollard. Both of them projected exactly 11.5 points. Which one will be the trick and which one will be the treat?
I still lean.
Or are they both treats?
No, I'd still lean Zeke. I don't think they'll both be treats. I think Zeke's a treat. Pollard's a trick. Pollard's good for a big run, but I don't think Zeke looks too bad. I think he looks pretty good. It's just the way the offense is going. So I think I'd have him as a treat.
I think with Dak Prescott back, it helps Zeke a lot, and I agree. I think he's going to be a treat. Pollard will be another trick. I don't think they'll both be treats or tricks. Courtland Sutton combined 9.7 points the last 2 weeks, 12 plus points the first 5 weeks going against Jacksonville. Is he a trick this week, or will he be a treat?
It'd be a trick, I think, if it's Rippon out there. He's a trick.
I think
Rippon was looking for Judy all the time. I wasn't really looking Sutton's way. So yeah, I think it's a trick.
I'm basing it on Wilson playing this week, and I think he'll be a treat.
Okay.
So first difference. Michael Thomas missed the last 4 games. He's averaging 17 points per game his first 3 weeks. If he plays week 8 against Las Vegas Raiders, is he a trick or a treat?
It all depends. I think he's come back well from the injury that kept him out for the season. Obviously gone down again, but I think he has the talent to do okay. I think he'll be a treat if he's back. I
think if he is back, he will be a treat. I mean, a trick. Ooh, I tricked myself.
Okay, you tricked yourself there. Yeah.
Dalton Schultz, 9.9 points last week, bounced back after scoring 2 donuts. Last 4 weeks, didn't play 2 of those, and then scored donuts 2 weeks. Is he a trick or is he a treat against Chicago Bears?
If he's fit and healthy, he's a treat.
He's a treat as well. And lastly, for tight ends, Taysom Hill. The everything position. He plays anything. He's everywhere. He's nowhere. You never know where he is. 10 plus points 3 times, under 10 plus points 3 times. Only played 6 games, missed 1. Las Vegas Raiders this week. Is he a trick or is he a treat?
He is a trick. You just can't rely on him. You know, the lack of consistency there. What's he going to do? He's a good trick play for the Saints, but I think he'll trick you most weeks as well. And
I think he'll be a trick as well. Bonus one, James Robinson being in New York now officially. Will he become a trick or a treat if he does play this week?
I think it'd be a trick this week just because it's not long. And no, he hasn't got there long. Yeah, I don't think he needs to learn the playbook. I think Michael Carter will get in there, get the workload for the time being. Going forward after that, then I think he's going to be a treat most weeks. But for this week, he's a trick.
I think he will be a trick as well. That's the trick or treat edition here. Players who may trick you in week 8 or maybe give you a nice little treat. Once again, that's going to do it here in today's episode. Of course, episode 24, we talked about the waiver wires, busts, sleepers, streamers, and of course, our favorite trick or treat edition. We hope you guys all enjoy Halloween or any type of holiday you celebrate around this time of the year. Once again, if you don't use code SportsTimeHQ on Underdog Fantasy, they're not going to match your first deposit of up to $100. So be sure to go on Underdog Fantasy and use code SportsTimeHQ so they can match your first $100, because who would complain about getting a free $100?
Not me.
Exactly. Once again, Keith, my co-host, you can follow him all over social media at SwampDonkey_90. Be sure to follow him and his fiance on Instagram at HuddleUp_NFL. Once again, I'm Brian Geronimo, joined alongside is my co-host Keith. Follow myself as well at SportsTimeHQ. Forgot to plug in our own show. And we'll see you all next week on Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time.